Okay, and I'm gonna pick back up now. So what we've done so far does not involve a database yet. This might be perfectly adequate for lots of Sinatra apps. I mean, for most apps, all you really need is like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript anyway, so you may be good to stop here if you want. My magnetic HTML site doesn't have a database. It's just all JavaScript. Well, actually, oh wait, no, it doesn't have a database. It does some stuff with like writing files and everything. But yeah, you could stop here. But we are going to talk about how to add a database and all that stuff now, just so it's on your radar. Uh, in short, it's like the exact same thing as when you did your active record lesson back in the day, back before Rails. It's like the exact same process. So I'm going to start. The first thing I need to do is I need to connect to my database. I'm going to end up here with 3 new files. I'm going to have a connection file, 4 new files, excuse me. Connection, schema, models, and seeds. Those are going to be my 4 new files. I'm going to put all of them in a folder called DB. You don't have to. You can put these wherever you want. Sinatra doesn't care about this folder, but I'm just doing it because they're all about the database, so it'll just keep them all together. The first one is going to be a connection.rb file. And so that's going to look something like, I don't even remember, so I'm going to look it up. It's like active record.establish connection something something something. There we go. Require active record base. Yoon, could you close the door back there? So this is the exact same format as when you had to connect to the database back with when we were doing that active record class. The only difference is I'm going to put SQLite 3 instead of PostgreSQL in here. And so active record will automatically figure out how to talk to SQLite. So that's the connection file. By itself, it doesn't do anything. So I'm going to create a schema file as well. As I'm doing this, one thing to note about SQLite is that it only creates the database when it has a reason to. Whoops, I called this schema.db. I want it to be RB. So it's only going to create the database if you tell it, hey, I want to create these tables. If I just run that connection.rb file right now, it's not going to do anything. It'll only create the database sort of on a like need-to-know basis. So this one needs to require the connection file. All right, now we haven't set up tables like this before. You could use SQL here if you want, like we did in the active record class. I don't like writing SQL, so I didn't. Instead, I basically copied this from somewhere in Rails. What file looks like this in Rails? Migration. Not migration, actually. Schema, yeah. The schema.rb file looks a lot like this. So I'm basically copying the format from there. Now, when I run this, okay, so also in Sinatra, there's no rake db create, blah, blah, blah. All I have to do to set up my database is run the schema file. I'm going to run ruby db/schema. I'm not using rerun here because I don't want the database to constantly be re-schema'd. I only want to do it once. When I do this, okay, I still see create table fish, and now I have this little Sinatra DB thing in here. So this is my database, this one little file. Now if I look in here, that's terribly exciting. It's, yeah, not super readable. It's got some random crap in it. That's my database. One thing to mention is this force cascade. This forces that table to be dropped and recreated. So without this, it just wouldn't do anything. Or if I tried to rerun the schema right now, it just wouldn't do anything. With this, it will just delete that table and rerun it. So I'm only going to run this schema file in a perfect world once to set up my database. Kyra.
Okay, so 2 things. So when you put required relative, then it's going to look within that same folder. So that's
exactly.
how I know it's just connection.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the connection folder, I saw that you put .establish connection.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards, it kind of reminds me of like a method. But the .establish_connection, that's mandatory.
Yeah, yep. This is how it. This is just its way of establishing a connection to the database. So you got to have that in there. Okay, so there's that. Now I'm going to set up my models. So I could do this in separate files if I wanted to, but this is going to be a super simple app that really only even has one model. So I'm gonna put all of my models, all one of them, in one file. But you can do it however you want. In Rails, of course, you have a bunch of separate model files, but here you can really do it however you'd like. So this one's going to require relative connection. And then aside from that, it's going to be the exact same kind of model. I'm going to do class fish, active, record, base, and that's it. In the code, in the solution code, they put some validations in here, so each fish has to have a unique name, but I'm not going to bother. If I had like a has many or a belongs to, I would put that in here as well. It's the exact same thing as a Rails model. And then I'm going to create a seeds. I know I'm sort of cruising through this, but I just want to get this thing up and running before we bounce out of here. Require relative models fish.create name goldfish. Well, I created an image URL field, but I'm going to do that here. Description. What a great fish. And then to run that, I'm going to do Ruby db seeds. I shouldn't see anything. And now the grand finale, to make sure this actually works, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to require my models. I'm going to do @fishes equals fish.all. And then in here, I'm going to say @fishes.each do fish. And hopefully I will see goldfish. Let's find out. Yay! And so if I put another one in here, because why not? One fish. Anything. I didn't tell it to destroy the fish. Oh. Man, what did I forget? Oh, it's because I'm trying to create too many things at once. There we go. Okay. I didn't tell it to have unique names for each fish, so I'll probably have 2 goldfish in here and 1 wanfish. And there they are. All right, cool. So we're a little bit over time, but questions before we bounce on here. Things we didn't get into is posting stuff. Any thoughts as to how I would write a post route?
How to what?
A post route, so like for posting data. Matt? Not a post file. I'm just going to write post. Do. So it's just like a get route, except you put post in front of it. And then you can do stuff with all the params and everything in here if you want to. So a form is always going to post data somewhere. All right, cool. Let's break there. If you want like a less crappy, more polished solution, then check out the solution for the Sinatra repo. Remember that each commit is sort of detailed in here, and that's it. Take a 10-minute break. Start Angular. Let us find out. So Ajax and consuming APIs is in classroom 6. In this room is Ajax and consuming APIs. In 4 is Angular. Yeah, the classroom rotation is here. Just 1 second, Kim. All right, what's up?
I have my photo and right after class starts, so maybe a couple of minutes.
Oh, that's okay.
So I'll sneak in back.
That's okay. We're just sort of talking about stuff at the start. We're not really doing anything. That's fine.